So thank you once again for making the time for us this morning. We want to start you off with the news this morning. And just remember, the doctor strike is still on. It's been 7 days. Today is going to be the 8th day of the strike, but they're expected to meet the public service head, that is Felix Koskei, to see if they can actually thrash out some of the issues that they've been raising. And definitely there is also the need to retest drivers in the country, that is according to the government, to tame the rising road carnage in the country. So all that will be coming up in the news this morning, including business and sports. And so we want to start right there where a 3-judge bench began hearing a petition. Or rather, let me start with the government has launched investigations into the fake fertilizer and seed supply amid a shortage of subsidized fertilizer buoyed by increased demand. Now, President William Ruto said several culprits have been arrested and will face criminal charges. The president at the same time assured Kenyans of the availability of the fertilizer before the planting season begins. That is in April.
Wafalme fought hard to win the
Speaking during the inaugural Kakamega Investment Conference on Wednesday, President Ruto urged farmers to be patient as the government tries to sort out the shortage. At the same time, the head of state revealed that some unscrupulous traders were in police custody with investigations underway to bring to book those behind the rampant supply of fake fertilizer and substandard seeds.
And we have already many more who are already facing court because we must eliminate corruption.
The president also assured sugar farmers along the Western Sugar Belt of his administration's commitment to revive the sector.
And that change of management includes not privatization, as I have said. It involves leasing so that we are sure and we can terminate the lease as and when we see the results not going as per what we want.
On his part, Kakamega Governor Fernandez Baraza urged county leaders in the region to work with the national government for development of the region.
Kakamega's huge economic potential, which has been untapped, and that is why this is the time that you want to showcase what Kakamega has in terms of agriculture value chains, in terms of dairy value chains, poultry value chains. We have opportunities in health. We are looking forward to seeing our level 6 hospital being completed, equipped and operationalized.
That the trips that the president has been making are targeted to win markets, to draw capital, to woo investors so that they can come to Kenya. They can come to Kakamega, they can come to Busia.
The nationwide doctor strike entered day 7 yesterday, with the doctors' union accusing the government of lack of commitment to resolve the standoff. Meanwhile, the Employment and Labour Relations Court has ordered the striking doctors to attend talks called by Public Service Head, that is Felix Koskei, on Thursday, that is today, to find a lasting solution.
For the 7th day in a row, patients in a majority of public hospitals in the country continued to suffer due to a lack of services as striking doctors stayed away from work. Doctors Union KMPDU Secretary General Davji Atela on Wednesday visited Kenyatta University Teaching and Referral Hospital to marshal his troops to stay put on the strike.
We are here and we made a resolution that even the bare minimum services, the emergencies that were being offered at KTTRH are now closed. And that is the reality. And this will continue until the KTTRH stops the casualization of doctors.
He accused the government of showing no commitment to addressing issues about the strike. And speaking separately at Ndumberi Stadium in Kiambu Sub-County during the marking of World Oral Health Day, Principal Secretary, State Department for Medical Services, Harry Kimtai, insisted that the strike was illegal and called on the doctors to give dialogue a chance.
If they honor their part of the negotiations, they also need to call off the strike and come to the table as directed by the court. Because it's when we discuss, is when we shall resolve those issues. But if they continue striking, then that means that we are not going to resolve the issues. Because you need to
And a three-judge bench began hearing a petition challenging the constitutionality of 3 health acts. The petition is seeking to have the court declare the acts unconstitutional because there already exists a National Health Insurance Fund, which is a social health insurance. Additionally, they argued that the laws were not subjected to public participation and queried the safety of data collected. Ruth Wamboi with the details of the start of the Day 2 hearing that saw the prosecution and the defense teams arguing their cases.
Because as I'll be demonstrating
the 3-judge bench comprised of Justice Alfred Mabea, Robert Limo and Frida Mugambi. The bench had through the petitioner's lawyer Harrison Kinyanjui that the social health insurance, primary health care and digital health acts were sent into law without public participation.
Which is why I say that the public participation should have been effectual, so that we are told we will be collecting your data.
The defense, through senior counsel Fred Ngati, however, dismissed the claims.
Informal sector registered members are the cause of attrition.
Additionally, the petitioners and the defense teams differed over claims that the bicameral House failed to take into account the harsh economic times, citing duplication of NHIF and SHIF. They also queried the safety of personal data collected.
That operating system of the e-system is involving a huge data breach in the United States as we speak.
That if we have a voluntary service, it can only collect.
The hearing of the petition filed by Joseph Aura and 4 unions will continue Thursday, with the petitioners terming the 3 recently ascended health law acts as draconian. The government insists it's within the principle of solidarity in ensuring universal health care coverage is achieved. From Milimani Law Courts, I'm Ruth Wamboi.
Thank you, Ruth Wamboi. Now, the government will retest drivers in a bid to avert further road accidents following the death of at least 20 people in separate road accidents in the past 3 weeks. Transport Cabinet Secretary, that is Kipchumba Murkomen, who appeared before the Senate, says the government will reintroduce NTSA officers to work alongside traffic police to ensure roadworthy vehicles operate and that drivers found flouting the traffic regulations are prosecuted. Our reporter Abdiaziz Hashim has details of the plans by the government to reduce the road accidents.
Barely 48 hours after 11 Kenyatta University students lost their lives in a grisly road accident in Maungu Voi, CS Kipchumba Murkomen appeared before the Senate to shed light on measures in place to avert increasing cases of road carnage.
Mr. Speaker, the statistics show that most of the accidents are as a result of drivers' behavior.
Murkomen told the senators the government will revisit its earlier position to tame errant drivers.
But everybody goes through retesting. Lawyers go through every year through training. Doctors do the same. Mr. Speaker, drivers who are carrying human life should be retested so that we know those who are competent. We test even up to their alcohol content and the drug abuse possibilities among the drivers.
That the ministry and the government revisits the way the transporters, either passenger or cargo or whatever, is being managed by all of us.
It is the high time that the government puts in measures that can be able to mitigate this so that we stop loss of young people.
According to the National Transport and Safety Authority, NTSA, 3,090 Kenyans have either died or sustained injuries in the road accidents from January 1st to February 11th, 2024. This is an increase compared to a similar period last year, where 2,384 Kenyans either died or were injured.
Thank you, Abdiaziz Hashim. Chief Administrative Secretaries are set to make a comeback if Parliament approves the National Government Administrative Amendment Bill. This follows a ruling by the National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula okaying the debate on the bill. Attempts by the minority side, led by the minority leader, that is Opiyo Wandayi, to block the commencement of the debate on the bill on grounds of its constitutionality, that is, as ruled by the High Court on July 2023, did not bear fruit. Give us on Maina with the details.
The Wednesday ruling in the National Assembly sets the stage for legislators to debate the National Government Administrative Amendment Bill, which, if approved, will see a return of the Chief Administrative Secretary posts.
One, that the National Government Administration Laws Amendment Bill 2023 is properly before the House.
The minority side, however, argued that the bill contained proposals that were found unconstitutional by the courts.
Honourable members, I'm inclined to the view that the plea by the leader of the minority party for the Speaker to find specific provisions of the bill unconstitutional is premature.
In addition, the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee has proposed amendments to remove the cap limiting the number of Chief Administrative Secretaries who can be appointed in office.
I have perused the report and I'm satisfied that the committee's proposed amendments, if passed by the House, will remedy the inadequacies, if any, contained in the bill.
Last year, appointees for the position were forced to stand down following a court ruling that found parts of the bill contravene the Constitution.
The court in both instances emphasized on the need for legislation in order to constitutionalize the establishment of those offices.
Matters security now, where the government will spend 29 billion shillings in the next 3 years under the Police Equipment Modernization Program. Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki, while commissioning and dispatching the first batch of the equipment, said the government is focused on complete suppression and neutralization of terrorism and banditry. Now, under the program, the government will procure, among others, armored personnel carriers and mine-resistant ambush-protected vehicles, drones, gunship helicopters, minesweepers and personal protection equipment.
Will be commissioned later this year.
On behalf of these officers, we are lucky to have you. You as our CS. The energy, the commitment we see you in you is always very encouraging.
I want to appreciate the good working relationship that I have had with the IG and his team, and every so often, whenever there is need for us to sit, whenever there is need for us to consult, whenever there is need for us to even get approvals for officers to go out there and inspect some of this equipment, we've been able to do this collectively.
Let's head to the counties now, where the Institution of Engineers of Kenya, IEK, is calling on the government to invest in engineers to achieve the country's industrialization goal. This appeal comes ahead of today's election of the Institution of Engineers of Kenya leadership. Now, this and more stories in our County News Roundup.
Speaking during a press conference in Nairobi, Engineer Kate Harrison, who's a vice president aspirant of the Institution of Engineers of Kenya, appealed to the government to invest in engineers if it wants to achieve industrialization.
And I want to call upon our election handlers to ensure that fairness prevails in all this process, so that the Institution of Engineers of Kenya, the engineers of Kenya, and the country at large benefits from a leadership of credible leaders.
Meanwhile, a police officer has been shot dead and another one wounded during a livestock raid in Saimosoi ward in Baringo North by suspected bandits. The bandits stole an unknown number of livestock during the raid.
This banditry should be declared a national disaster, na pia it should be declared a kama act of terrorism.
The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has conducted anti-corruption trainings targeting senior state officials in Meru County.
Some of the complaints we get are conflicts of interest. There are a good number of cases on conflict of interest. There is also issues of procurement irregularities. We have several cases ongoing. And land issues.
And Kisii County Assembly Speaker has presented Elijah Obebo as the nominee for the Deputy Governor's vacancy for vetting an appointment following the impeachment of the county's former Deputy Governor Robert Monda.
And we had told the governor that he should give the seat back to Nyaribari, which he honored. He has done the same. Elijah Obebo comes from Nyaribari, Chache, where Dr. Robert Monda, the former Deputy Governor, used to come from.
Elsewhere, Tourism College has been launched in Transmara West, Narok County, in a bid to increase qualified personnel to work in the tourism sector. The college will ensure it churns out students who will serve within the famous Mara Triangle.
That need of training, hospitality and tourism
all over the country, and this area is not out of that interest. Secondly, we have this near Mara Triangle, which is a key tourism attraction centers.
And residents of Umoja 2 Estate in Nairobi have taken issue with officials from the Nairobi County Administration who they claim descended on a car wash project and destroyed it before being vandalized.
Wanajaribu wanakuja na hiyo mambo, lakini governor anasema hapana, mradi ya vijana wacha iendelee. So mi governor kwake ni vile hii mambo ijamfikia, imekuja abrupt, vile wamepanga tu haraka na wakakuja wakaigonga.
In Nakuru County, the Kenya Plant Health Inspectorate Service and the Directorate of Criminal Investigations have confiscated 13,000 packets of counterfeit maize seeds worth 13 million shillings at a timber yard in Njoro Sub-County.
Na walipata 101 kg ya treated maize, which means ilikuwa tayari ikitoka iuziwe wakulima wetu.
Finally, media practitioners in Mombasa County have launched the Mombasa Press Club through the county government, aimed at uniting and entrenching professionalism in the industry across the county.
And I think mainly this will not be based on anything else except achievements, and whenever we want to come up with a campaign, if there's an outbreak of any sort, we will be liaising with yourselves, where everything will be done, including production from the artworks to layout, and then thereafter now our role will be to disseminate that information to the media houses that you work for.
To matters health now, where the government will introduce standardized counseling manuals for parents, as well as impose age restriction on content on digital platform as it seeks to address the triple threat of sexual gender-based violence, teenage pregnancy and early marriages. The triple threat has been identified as one of the key drivers of HIV infections among the youth and adolescent. Ashola Simon with the details.
As the government grapples with increased HIV infections amongst the adolescents and young adults, provision of sufficient, timely and relevant information to this key group may be the antidote needed to check the rising numbers.
With these threats, what is very key is information. I mean the youths getting information, proper information. And as a ministry and as a government, we have made sure that we get information all the way to the primary and secondary education.
When adults have sex with children and they become pregnant, that is sexual and gender-based violence. That is prescribed as a crime in the sexual offences law as defilement. So we must never look for excuses that we want to discuss teen pregnancies separately and we want to discuss sexual and gender-based violence separately.
Adolescents and young adults account for more than 80% of new HIV infections in the country. The Ministry for Health seeks to provide standardized counseling manuals for parents to be used as a tool to help them inculcate behavioral change at the very basic level of the community.
But in most cases, there seems to be gaps in the health system, including the adequate resourcing for the same services, and also providing adequate care that then encourage access to these health services.
Kenya indeed has very good laws and policies in place, but when we're looking at reproductive rights, especially towards adolescents, there's a gap, especially in the recently passed reproductive health policy.
Community health providers will also be entrenched in efforts to provide post-aborted services as a means of reducing post-abortion deaths and stigma. Dr. Edward Serem, head of Division of Reproductive and Maternal Health, Ministry of Health, also called for deliberate efforts in tackling poverty, noting as one of the key drivers of HIV in the country. The stakeholders spoke as they convened in Kisumu to deliberate on drivers of triple threats of sexual gender-based violence, teenage pregnancies, and early marriages.
Now, the government will release 34 bodies to the families of victims who lost their lives in the Shakahola massacre more than a year after events at the forest came to light. Chief Government Pathologist Johansen Odwor says the bodies will be released beginning Tuesday next week. Our reporter Kasichana Masha with more.
Wednesday at the Malindi Sub-County Hospital Funeral Home,
Government Chief Pathologist Dr. Johansen Odor revealed they will begin to release bodies of the victims to the families.
So far, the government chemists have identified a total of 34 bodies which have been linked to relatives, and we are going to start releasing the bodies from next week on 26th.
They also plan to provide psychosocial support to the families before they receive their loved ones' remains.
The process include logistics, which we are currently undertaking this week, which is organizing for counselors who will counsel these people, and also contacting the relatives who will come here for the purpose of taking their loved ones. So we've done that, we've contacted them, and the first batch will be arriving on 26th.
In the guidelines, those collecting the remains of their loved ones are required to provide letters from the chiefs and those whose DNA samples were collected for ease of identification.
We've actually done a profile on a number of bodies, meaning that their DNA profile has been generated. However, linking them to the people who donated their DNA is where the challenge becomes, because they are not linked to the people who donated the DNA.
The fifth phase of exhumation will resume once the bodies are collected.
Thank you, Kasichana Masha, for that report. And on that note, we take a short break. I'll be back with more news. Thank you for staying with us. We move on with the more news on a mysterious death where a family in Ilikoni, that is in Mtito Andei, Makueni County, is seeking justice after their child, a grade 8 student at Suisiani Primary School, died during a swimming lesson. The family of the 11-year-old boy wants to know why the school management opted to take the students to a river, yet the activity was fully paid for and could have been conducted in the safety of a hotel swimming pool in the area.
Uncertainty fills the air as this family from Ilikoni village, Makueni County, tries to come to terms with the death of their 11-year-old son. Ian Mutambuki Mwashkadi, a grade 8 student at Suisiani School, allegedly drowned in Mtito River during a swimming lesson organized by the school.
We would like to first of all establish what exactly happened from those who were at the scene, and then from there we will come to the right decision.
Peter Mwashigadi Mwakiredi and Elizabeth Mwikali, the parents of the deceased, faulted the school management for taking students for a swimming lesson in River Mtito, which is infested with crocodiles.
Nimegaramika pesa mingi, amesomea private miaka 6. Juu ile shule alikuwa anasomea ilikuwa inaenda mpaka grade 6, ndio nikamtransfer.
According to them, parents had paid 800 shillings each for the swimming lessons and for the activity to be conducted in a pool that is safe for students. They now want justice for their kin.
Nikalipa pesa za trip. Watoto wapelekwe, walikuwa wanaenda Kambu. Hiyo nimelipa. Nilikuwa nalipa pesa za swim. Mtoto wangu aenda kaogelee park. Sielewi. Sielewi mimi.
Very sad indeed. We move on to business now, where the Kenya Bureau of Standards says an organic fertilizer consignment that was seized did not have the basic components to make it organic and has not been certified for distribution and use in Kenya. The Kenya Bureau of Standards Managing Director, Esther Ngari, told the Parliamentary Committee on Agriculture and Livestock, or rather even accused the fertilizer manufacturer of forging the KEBS standard mark of quality.
Our investigations revealed that SBL Innovative Manufacturers Limited engaged in the misuse of the KEBS standardization mark on a product that was not certified by Kenya Bureau of Standards. The company displayed the mark on a product that had not undergone the mandatory certification process as stipulated by the Standards Act and governed by the applicable standard.
Whether they have been able, they have assessed what it is, analyzed this particular product, and if they have actually allowed this product to be in the market, what checks and balances they have put in place to make sure that fertilizers products, and the product in particular, it does not get to the farmers if it's not the correct product.
Data providers will now be required to adhere to the Kenya Statistical Code of Practice, which will guide standardized practices for data collection, analysis and dissemination. Kenya National Bureau of Statistics Director General McDonald Obudho says this has been necessitated by the growing need to ensure that the accuracy and ethical handling of statistical data. The agency has also launched a data science training center to equip data scientists with the necessary skills to meet the growing demand of the digital era.
Data accessibility remains a challenge, with information often scattered across multiple sources and not readily available in standardized formats. The Kenya National Bureau of Statistics has now embarked on a 5-year strategic plan that will center its focus on, among others, ensuring a well-coordinated national statistical system.
We are trying to make good coordination so that we get good statistics from them. Looking at the source, looking at the compilation process, looking at the reporting process, and looking at the relevance of such and regularity.
The data produced must be accessible and user-friendly for policymakers, researchers, and the general public.
To enhance the capability of KNBS to deliver on its mandate, the agency says they need an investment of at least 52.5 billion shillings, emphasizing the need for adherence to the newly developed Statistical Code of Practice to enhance the credibility of statistical information. KNBS will also offer training programs and skill development initiatives. With the advancement in technology, big data and analytics are becoming indispensable in global business practices. However, the demand for data scientists is outpacing the available talent pool, and the mushrooming of data training centers such as this by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics hope to enhance the capacity of trained data scientists in Kenya.
Thank you, Trevor Ngendo, for that report. Have you ever wondered why are loan financing agreements too technical and shrouded in secrecy? Now, this question continues to permeate in the public realm, with government and financial experts calling for agreements to be made easily accessible to the public. Dr. Leila Latif, the co-founder of Committee of Fiscal Studies and advocate of the High Court, says most of the binding agreements are vague and are open to third-party manipulation, disadvantaging the borrower. Dr. Latif is challenging journalists from Africa to interpret and analyze the purpose of the loan, track the procurement processes, and assess the debt sustainability to be in a position to inform the public.
Our African leaders really are responsible for having borrowed irresponsibly and also spent irresponsibly. We also say that the global system has also failed the continent because it makes it difficult for it to get out of debt, get out of poverty. So when they report, they need to know that the problem is not just Africa or African leaders, it's beyond our leaders. They are responsible, but also our creditors have been irresponsible.
Journalists play an integral role in also contributing to awareness, which means that if they're able to pursue rigorous research on this particular subject, they too are able to contribute to our awareness creations effort and also ensure that we're reporting accurately on special drawing rights, reporting in a timely manner on special drawing rights, and also pursuing follow-up mechanisms.
The Kenya Space Agency has signed a deal with Konza Technopolis to use its data center for its operations. Under the deal, Kenya Space Agency will access Konza-based infrastructure such as data center, secured cloud, and data protection facility. Kenya Space Agency Acting Director General Brigadier Hilary Kipkoskei says the agency is seeking on deriving data in areas such as agriculture, disaster management, security communication, urban planning, and resource management. Cost of diesel, some of the challenges, facing agriculture mechanization in Kenya. A report by Heifer International says low mechanization is hurting food production in Kenya. The report shows machinery and tractor farming in Kenya is higher in Kenya compared to Nigeria and Uganda.
Main impact of this report and how it will benefit smallholder farmers is the fact that
Smallholder farmers already know that they would love to have mechanization, but mechanization was not affordable, nor was it accessible to them. Agriculture is a sector that every government in the continent is willing to support. Mechanization or agriculture or youth integration into agriculture for that matter is a desire that the continent has continent-wide.
I mean, we're seeing that tremendous opportunities are out there for financial growth, financial prosperity, for smallholder farmers and young Africans with organizations like Hello Tractor, changing the game, leveraging technology.
We've proven that it can happen. Whether it can happen at scale or not remains to be seen as we approach now moving from the initial investment of 104 tractors to now we'll close the year at around 250 tractors.
You have close to about 30,000 hectares of land being put under cultivation. That is food, and that's contributing towards the country's food security. It's contributing towards the household's food security. It's contributing towards the community's food security. So that's why we think that this is transformative.
A look at sports now, where Sports Cabinet Secretary Ababu Namwamba presided over the induction of World Marathon record holder, the late Kelvin Kiptum, into the Talanta Hall of Fame. The World Marathon record holder Kiptum and his coach, that is Gervais Hazikimana, died in a tragic road accident last month.
Kiptum's name has been inducted and will paint the Hall of Fame alongside other iconic legends, including former footballer Joe Kadenge, former World Marathon greats Paul Tergat and Catherine Dereba, among others. Speaking at the event held at the Talanta Plaza, Sports Cabinet Secretary Ababu Namwamba stated that Kenya will always support sportspersons who will fly the Kenyan flag high, and commencing now, they will be inducting them while still alive.
I announced as we laid Kiptum to rest that anybody who has any benefits due to this family, we announced that we want all those resources on the table, transparently and in an accountable manner.
The idea of Talanta Hela, which actually has given an opportunity to our athletes to benefit from their talent, that is something that is appreciated by our athletes, all sportsmen and women, and the Kenyans at large.
He also added that despite his death, the world will continue celebrating Kiptum and at the same time acknowledging his impact.
You can imagine how heartbreaking it was for me to receive this award on behalf of Kelvin. Kelvin was voted Sportsman of the Year posthumously by the Sawyer Awards panel.
Wengi wanatembeanga na magari nini, accident inatokea. Kama ni accident ya ukweli nitakubali. Kama ni accident ambayo inahusika na binadamu, Mungu mwenye aliumba na binadamu alifanyia kichana yangu, Mungu alisema mniwachie msiko.
Talanta Hall of Fame is a prestigious platform celebrating excellence in the field of creativity, innovation and sport.
That story by Dan Mwenda brings us to the end of the news this morning. Thank you so much for taking the time to start your day with us here on Good Morning Kenya. I'll definitely be handing you over to Vivian and Degwa and the DJ Unique to take you through the rest of the Good Morning Kenya show, being Entertainment Thursday. My name is Mariambo and hope to see you again next week.